Representing Glyph, Vice President of Sales, Ethan Perkins, and CEO founder, Alec Lee.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, judges. My name is Alec Lee. I'm the co-founder, CEO of Endless West. And with me is Ethan Perkins, our Vice President of Sales. And we've got here Glyph, the world's first molecular whiskey made entirely note by note. So what does that mean? Consider that any whiskey, spirit, wine is a collection of molecules, and those molecules exist somewhere else in nature, exist in a combination. Imagine pixels of a digital photograph. Each molecule adds unique character to the expression of that whiskey. So we go and we find sources in nature for each one of those individual molecules, purify them in the same way that you would purify ethanol from during the distillation process, and we then recombine them. So with our patent-pending proprietary process, we go in, we scan great whiskeys on the market, understand what makes them tick at a molecular level, and then we recombine and redesign in some ways from the ground up our very own expression of what whiskey can be. We are not making your grandpa's whiskey, and we are not your average spirits company. We are a collection of engineers, scientists, artists, sommeliers who, like a growing cohort of consumers, believe that you can make traditional forms of art or craft in new ways. And in the same way that electronic music spoke to a new generation of music lovers, we believe that Glyph represents this new generation of whiskey consumers who believe that the future is something that we can look forward to without getting necessarily entrenched in the past.
So why are we doing this? We get this question a lot. We're not trying to replace tradition, we're just merely trying to add to the conversation. Right? We're an inherently curious species. We're always wondering how and why things work, constantly tinkering on how to improve things. I mean, grunts and gestures worked pretty well, but language proved more productive of a mode of communication. Right? You look at how we consume music, you went from a physical phonograph to nothing at all in digital music. I still think the record player is the best way to listen to music, but you don't see me at the gym with it under my arms doing some curls. Right? So we were curious about what makes whiskey so great at the molecular level, and can we build it more sustainably, faster, more profitably, and more precisely than what's currently available. We feel we've answered that question in Glyph. It is biochemically identical to an aged whiskey. It is all natural, tested for purity, competes regularly with products 2 to 3 times its price point, and is validated by third-party consumer testing. The data is strong. In our research, we surfaced 3 distinct whiskey flavor preference profiles. Those that prefer bold peat or bold smoke, it's about 26% of the population. Those that prefer a more well-balanced profile, that's 37% of the population. And another 37% of the population prefers bold floral, fruity, and caramel characteristics. And it's in that third segment that Glyph plays and we win. Our margin of victory inside that segment is greater than the winners of those other 2 segments. So we know we have a winning flavor profile of who we're going after. We launched in November of 2018, specifically in Brooklyn and in San Francisco. Our strategy is to go where our customers are and where we have support. So without distributor support, just a salesperson in both of those markets, we managed to secure over 120 points of distribution. We've sold over 1,200 six-packs. We have a reorder rate of 30%, and where we do our consumer testing, or our sampling, excuse me, we're at a 50% conversion rate. And what excites me about this company is we're talking about Glyph and that specific flavor profile for that third segment, but the technology is there to create flavor profiles across multiple categories for just our brand. But then you talk about going to your national, regional, and local key accounts and designing a unique, specific product that's produced more sustainably, more profitably, and brought to market faster than what's currently available. So what excites us about this proposition, and we hope it's what excites you.
Well, Ethan, Alec, that was great. I know the judges got questions. Go ahead, Steve.
I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, me too.
Molecular construction, biochemically balanced. These are not appealing terms to somebody that's looking for a craft spirit to cozy up to somewhere. My first question is it crafted after an Irish whiskey? Is it after a blended Scotch? Is it after an American whiskey? You say it's more on the caramel side. Do you start with a grain-neutral spirit and then go from there and decide what you're going to? And Glyph, I'd like to know what the name means. So there you go.
Sure. I can answer the first part of that question. The answer to the question is yes on all accounts. I mean, we've scanned wheated bourbons, Canadian whiskeys, scotches, peated, and sherry cask aged. And so we really start, as you said, with a neutral grain spirit. That's sort of our blank slate, and build it up from there. The inspiration, I'd say, was really started with sherry cask scotches, but went from there really, really quickly. There's some elements of Japanese, there's some elements of Canadian whiskey, definitely some elements of the wheated bourbons that we saw and liked, and really that's the flavor profile that we're going after, but you're not going to taste that and think, oh, this is obviously a sherry cascade scotch.
And Glyph, the name?
So when you think about glyph, a glyph is a symbol, but if you think about a hieroglyph, it's only a beautiful piece of artwork when you combine all of those symbols together. And so glyph is an homage to all of the molecules that we've identified that only when you put them together in this precise formula do you get Glyph whiskey.
So you got 120 accounts, you said, in San Fran and Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, yeah.
On-premise accounts.
60-40, off to on.
What is the elevator pitch? You're not in the bar. What's the bartender say about your brand? He's got 5 seconds. What does he say?
We're not there. It's a quick, easy, do you want to try the world's first molecular whiskey? And we're only going to
accounts. What does that mean?
That's exactly the response that we want the consumer to say. So we're only going to bars where conversations are welcome across the bar, right? We're super targeted. And so if we can get the conversation from the bartender to the consumer, then we've won. Because the story is great, and then they taste the product, and we tell them we made it in 24 hours, it blows their mind, and now they're hooked.
To me, this seems like it's a millennial audience that you'd be going after. Is that an accurate assumption?
I don't think that's wrong.
Okay.
But it's definitely a lot of an attitude as well. We're seeing a lot of Gen Xers and Boomers, you know, the Star Wars, Star Trek fans as well, who see something in how it's made, right?
Because for me, like, you know, if you look at the millennial, right, they want that story. It's the guy walking on his organic farm in the back, you know. I mean, that's what the experience. They want I don't know if they want it engineered in a lab. You know what I mean? I just don't know. Do you guys get this?
It feels the story is very cool, and I like and appreciate the science behind it. But I think with branding, we all want to associate and like the brands,
yes,
and have a nice warmth feeling.
That's
I think
exactly
that's what
right.
we're going for, is a warmth and a way to identify with it. And I think your one watch out is it feels very scientific and very structured and almost cold. That I think you may have a hard time converting some customers over.
Like if someone were sitting at one of our bars, it's a molecular, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe there's a different store, a different angle you can reach that customer. I'm not sure. I just.
So the angle for us is art.
Right? Yeah. Art. Okay.
So it's really interesting. Your story is diametrically opposed to everything I am. So I am a biodynamic farmer. I'm trying to convince everyone to go back and go natural and all of that. That's where the world is going. I love your story. Because that's where a piece of the world is going, but there's another piece, and I can't even say the word properly, molecular gastronometry.
Molecular gastronomy.
There's a whole world looking at constructing, deconstructing. So I think it is brilliant. It is a niche product. The question is, do you understand your niche, the scale of it, and then what do you think that is, and how do you scale it properly? My fear is, do you have to make big bets to make it happen, or you can do this in small bets and make a lot of money as you grow, or you have to make a big bet and hope that people get it? Which is it? Can you make money and scale it to find the sweet spot? Because people will buy this.
So thankfully, the product is profitable for everyone across the value chain, right? The way that it's made, we don't have to lay down product for years. We don't have to source it from wherever. We can source, grain neutral spirits and build it up overnight without ever seeing a barrel, without having to lay down product in a special place. But I think to both of your points, there's a story here that ultimately is about what art becomes as you sort of expand the fold to include other people who are on the other end of the spectrum, right? There's nothing wrong with the biodynamic, the original way of doing things. But Christie's, which auctions off amazing traditional forms of art, just recently sent across the block the first AI-made painting for $500,000. There are people out there who want something new and different than what they've ever seen before, and we're not telling a story that people have heard before.
Yeah.
So it's not aged at all?
There's no age.
So are you adding coloring? How do you get the color?
So the color actually does come from wood. So that's part of the process, is we extract that overnight effectively, the color and a handful of molecules that we can't otherwise source commercially.
How long does it take to make a bottle?
Molecules.
Overnight.
Overnight. One night.
Yeah, that's right.
Amazing.
Wow.
Well done, guys. We're out
That's
of time.
a good scaling.
Alec,
Very
Ethan,
interesting.
Great job, guys.
congratulations.
Yeah, really good.